for another episode of 4ES Podcast.
I'm Nick.
I'm Sean.
And
it's been a little while.
It hasn't been as long since episode 2 and episode 3. Episode 4 is a lot closer to 3.
So, in that regard, success!
Sort of.
Anyway, we're back with episode 4. We are learning right now.
To expand the podcast.
Make it a little more interesting. And we're learning the interview process right now. And it's not as easy as we thought it was going to be.
It's not so much the process of interviewing the person. It's more or less the process of using the software that we use to give you this podcast and trying to do the interview within the same software.
And the new software we were trying to use to actually record interview files was not working very well.
Let's just say Skype sucks sometimes.
All the time.
So we were hoping to have our first guest this episode. We're hoping that we'll be able to get an interview very soon with our still-to-be first guest, Matthew Bray, from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Yeah, and he'll be talking to us about stats and why the Leafs suck.
Through numbers, he'll explain why nerds can tell us that the Maple Leafs suck instead of just watching their on-ice production.
Which leads to a further debate of, does this take away from the competitiveness of sports and the entertainment value?
Probably not.
Probably not, but we will get to that when Maddie is on board.
Aside that, we just want to remind all of you out there that listen to this podcast, first of all, thank you. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you.
Best.
Thank you for everything so far. And I know I say thank you a lot, but thank you. So,
if any of you want to, again, contribute, we've had a couple of people come approach us for guest spots on the actual podcast. But if you guys want to do some more writing on the WordPress,
production, editing, if you want a credit in some form,
just let us know.
Yeah, exactly. Again,
and we will be, because you helping us helps us quite a bit. You probably don't understand how much it would help us.
But it also helps you down the road. It's not just a hobby. This is something we're trying to grow. And,
yes.
In the CV world, people are like, well, what's this? You can explain that you helped on a project.
Yeah, and projects are excellent on the CVs.
We'll give you all the information at the end of the podcast on who to contact and stuff. But while you're listening, if you want to look at something while you listen to us, blah, 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 go to 4espodcast.wordpress.com, which is our website right now, and check out some of the few articles that we've managed to post.
The WordPress is still relatively new. We've only had it for around a month, I believe.
Right.
We have, 3-4 articles right now, both written by us. So we need some, well, we don't need, but we would like some more auteurs.
As long as it's not of poor taste, if it can't be sexist, it can't be racist, as long as it's not offensive.
Well, it's within the realms of what our podcast is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you want to talk about corn, explain to us why corn is fun and entertaining, not just how it grows.
Don't do that.
Come on, someone come up with a corn paper.
No. Anyway, in this episode, we're going to be talking about, Quentin Tarantino, Star Wars, Jermaine Defoe,
the Grammys, a video game that I had recently played that loved the series, but I'm not sure how I felt about this game. Again, and a couple more things if we have the time for it.
But, it will be very on the DL this episode. It's coming out for the Christmas break, and
we're also semi-depressed that the interview didn't come through right away either.
We are horribly depressed. Anyway, to start us off on the first interview, I woke up this morning and we had a little bit of fantastic little Star Wars news to talk about.
Assuming it's right.
Yeah, well, it's again, with anything to do with Star Wars at this point, is a rumor. Episode 7 info came out, and apparently Episode 7 is going to be focusing on Luke, Leia, and Han Solo, just a bajillion years after the original trilogy.
So fat, old, and saggy.
Pretty much. And then this completely debunks the rumors that were...
Oh, and senile.
But this completely debunks the rumors that the new trilogy was going to be about their kids. Now, apparently Episode 8 and 9 will be focusing on the kids, while Episode 7 will sort of be like a bridge episode leading the introduction to these characters, but they will still be very much in the background. Mm-hmm. Which are kind of like, we've already had 3 episodes with these characters. We've had the 3 prequels. Maybe 3 new characters off the bat is a good idea.
But for what it's worth, at the same time, I think people argued about Disney taking... This kind of goes a bit off topic, but I think about it this way. Disney took Marvel. Everyone was so skeptic. And
But
so
it
far,
turned
a
out
lot of
good,
movies
yeah.
have turned out really well.
But can you really see like a 70-something Han Solo kicking ass for a good 2 hours?
No, not 2
Yeah.
hours, but a good part of the movie. I could see all the men being involved in another way because you're trying to continue the story.
Yeah.
I mean, what happened?
But they're not as young as used to be. They definitely don't have the same screen presence that they used to have.
In the end, these movies will ruin every person's imagination who thought how it would continue.
Yes.
I forget I think it was The Simpsons recently that made a joke that, they made a joke about the new Star Wars movie coming out and how at the beginning credits it says the first 3 movies didn't count and everyone cheered. And imagine if that was how it started. It never happened.
It never happened. These you should forget.
There's no
about
such
them.
thing as Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks never happened. Also, to add into these rumors, the new actors that are being considered for the roles include Michael Fassbender, who plays Magneto in the First Class in Days of Future Past, and Hugo Weaving, who plays Agent Smith from The Matrix. So, if
he's also
they're
the
being
Red Skull.
considered, yeah, he's also Red Skull. So we have some pretty good names that are being flown around. So we got that. Also, you know what I read about Star Wars the other day?
What?
That Tupac Shakur was initially auditioned for the role of Mace Windu.
What?
Yeah.
You've got to be kidding.
I kid you not.
Were they trying to get
saw
the
that
gangster community to watch the movies?
I don't know. Well, Tupac has been in a couple of movies beforehand.
No,
but I saw that on RTE.ie, which is an Irish network. And they put out this thing that the role ultimately went to Samuel Jackson. Thank God, because Samuel Jackson is awesome. And he's probably one of the few redeeming factors of the original trilogy.
And
the
Darth Maul,
the new trilogy. And yeah, we got that. So I'm a little skeptical about it. We will see where it goes, but don't deny the fact that I'm a humongous Star Wars fan, and I have absolute faith in Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams. So I have no doubt that episode 7, 8, and 9 will be good. There's also the spin-off movies that are going to come out every other year. So we have episode 7, and then we're going to get a spin-off, episode 8, spin-off, 9, spin-off. And the first spin-off is rumored to be a Boba Fett spin-off.
I saw that too.
Which...
Do you find that's overkill, though? Adding this... That's like... I mean, you could easily say that what Marvel's doing is overkill.
A little overkill, but I think the idea of a Boba Fett movie, because there's such a grand mystique about the character, and he has, 20 minutes worth of screen time over 2 movies, excluding the Clone Wars because he's a kid. There's really almost nothing about him, and a little backstory might not be a bad idea. Make him like an anti-hero.
Sometimes one of the best characters, though, don't have the backstory. There are movies out there that's still untouched where some of your favorite characters don't have the biggest backstory, but doesn't take away from the story.
He also has a good history in the novels.
Yeah.
So
I'm not taking my shots at them. I think I'm going to go in eyes open and accepting of whatever they're going to give us, because frankly, you can't do much worse than the first 3 at this rate.
In my defense, I liked episode 3.
I was okay with, as a kid watching episode 1.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like that.
I like the droid aspect and everything.
Pod racing was awesome.
2 was annoying.
2 was just... Moving on, because you brought up episode 2. I didn't like that at all. What are you going to bring up on the next one?
Well, I guess, seeing as this is entertainment and sports, for all you haters out there, I did hand signals. You can't see it, but
we're waving our hands around like
we just don't
idiots.
care. The Winnipeg Jets have just recently fired head coach Claude Noel. Has been replaced by Paul Maurice. Paul Maurice, as you know, coached the Carolina Hurricanes and brought them to their first Stanley Cup final when they lost to the Detroit Red Wings. I want to say in the 2002 season. He also was a head coach of the Maple Leafs. Never made the playoffs, but frankly, no offense, Maple Leaf fans, those teams sucked.
Pretty much. So, to give a little bit more back history for those who might not be too familiar, the Jets are a relatively new team, and do you think that the new coach is a good move for them?
Well,
like firing the old coach and putting in a new one?
First, it's the second coming of the Winnipeg Jets.
Yes, because
anyone who's a hockey fan who knows this, that the Winnipeg Jets, unfortunately, like the Quebec Nordiques, were kicked out and moved to Colorado and Phoenix. Atlanta, who got an expansion team, it just wasn't working. They've come back, and it's actually worked out.
Yeah, they haven't
in. This is their third season as the Jets. Claude Noel has been the coach up till now for the Jets, and he's got a record of 80 and 79.
So, dumb us down for this. Is that a good record?
No, because in his first season, he was 37, 35, and 10. So 37 wins, 35 losses, and 10 overtime losses, including shootout.
So he's lost more than he's won.
In a sense, yeah. And he was fourth in the Southeast Conference. Only reason why they were in that division at the time was because of the fact that they moved the Atlanta and they didn't know what to do with the teams right away. So they missed the playoffs. Last year, with a shortened season, they were 24, 21, and 3. Pretty much exactly on the 500 cusp if you can include the overtime losses. They were second in the Southeast Division and unfortunately just missed the playoffs. Winnipeg has probably the best crowd. And that crowd...
One of the best crowds.
Montreal is probably neck and neck for insanity and noise when it comes to NHL hockey, but because the Winnipeg Jets are just so happy that they have this team, they are the loudest. Now, Claude Noel's record this year was 19, 23, and 5. Under 500 record. They've fired him, brought in Paul Maurice. I think Paul Maurice will be a better coach. I think bringing in Claude Noel, he was coaching the minor league team in Manitoba at the time. And because of that, when the team came, it was kind of like we have an NHL team. So for the first couple of seasons, if they didn't do well, the fans would just be like, whatever, we've got a team. What are we going to complain about, you know?
Yeah.
But now they're fed up. Now they're Canadian.
Well,
they want to win.
They want any team wants to win. I mean, Canadian or not Canadian.
Some people have made some smart ass remarks saying, "Well, it's too bad that Paul Maurice can never get a good team." The last time I checked, usually the good teams don't fire their coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I expect them
usually the good teams, it's working for them.
I expect them to play. Paul Maurice is getting a better team than whatever he was given in Toronto. I think they will do well. Do I think they can rebound this year, make the playoffs? Probably not. But next season, I see them making maybe 8th or 7th in the Western Conference.
8 sounds respectable, I think.
But they're not out of the woods exactly. I mean, they're not like buried in the woods. They're not screwed just yet. They could technically make it this year. They're not like Calgary and Edmonton, which pretty much buried that hatchet and are pretty much out. Looking at the Western Conference standings, Winnipeg sits 12th out of 14th. Doesn't sound great with 43 points. Minnesota has 53 for the last and final playoff spot. One of the big issues, Winnipeg is on a 5-game losing streak. Yeah. They get out of that, they start winning a couple games, they're still in the hunt. They're not.
They could probably make their way to maybe 9th.
Maybe 8th, though.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe somewhere around there is not out of the realm of impossibility.
So that's pretty much how. Right now, I'm happy they fired Noel. He was one of those coaches where everyone's like, but he gave a great interview. He was so funny. I don't care. I would rather the product. If you want a bunch of dumbass coaches that are going to say dumb things that make the media happy or they're funny, then hire all the fired coaches and give them a talk show and they can be dumb there.
That'd be actually really fun to watch.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Like, I'm thinking John Tortorella when he gets fired from Vancouver, Claude Noel, maybe Laviolette, Mike Keenan.
Reality TV.
One of the angry coaches. Oh, Patrick Waugh when he gets fired.
Yep.
A lot of personalities clashing. Anyway, so...
Wouldn't make that bad of a show, actually.
Maybe we should produce it. If there's a producer out there, and by the way, that idea is patent pending, so by saying that... and you rip it off, we're going to sue you.
For every penny you have, even though we don't have pennies anymore.
Sue you for sponsorship.
Exactly. Anyway, I'm going to take the lead now. We're going to continue with the sports talk, actually, because all that talk of bashing on Toronto reminded me of something yesterday or the day before. Is it good
or is it bad? Because we've been bashing on Toronto a bit.
We always bash on Toronto. Everyone bashes on Toronto.
Oh, hey, we're supposed to not let people understand where we actually are. We could be
but
in
everyone
Toronto
bashes
right now.
on Toronto.
Even Torontonians.
Even Torontonians, especially Torontonians. But Tottenham, the English Premier League team, have just sold Jermaine Defoe to Toronto FC. It's a big move. Jermaine Defoe is a pretty good player.
For those who don't know soccer, how could you qualify next to an NFL or NHL player? Like, not a Crosby or a Brady.
Oh, he's not a top level, but he's probably like a second, third tier. Like if Crosby has a first tier, then we'll put it maybe like second or third tier.
Okay.
So he's a very good asset to the team.
He could be like a Thomas Plekanec type player.
Yeah.
Like
his wage right now it's a 4-year deal, and he's going to be making £68,000 per week, potentially rising to £90,000. According to the currency right now, £68,000, give or take, is around $122,000 whatevers per week. And that's Toronto's paying that. And the deal is for £6 million, which is roughly $9 to $10 million. So this is, while it's not Cristiano Ronaldo level soccer deals, it is still a pretty sizable deal.
Does it make this team better?
It will make Toronto's team better, which is a shame because that means other teams like the Impact are in for a bit more of a challenge.
Or the Vancouver
team. I forget what they're called.
Sorry.
Either way, though, the interesting point is that lately the MLS have been hiring a lot of European players. Like we started with Beckham going to the Galaxy, we had Thierry Henry at New York. And now we have Jermaine Defoe going over to Toronto.
Don't forget Toronto's coach, who never had any coaching experience. Didn't he play with Defoe? Wasn't that like a big deal too? Like I thought
no idea.
I could have sworn I saw an interview where they said they were friends or some
it's possible.
crap like that.
It says here, like we're on a BBC right now, that Jermaine Defoe has played already 250 games for Tottenham, and it's considered his home. And now he's going to be going over to Canada, and maybe. Because his presence in North America probably isn't as recognized as like the Ronaldos or the Rooneys or anything.
Or the Beckhams.
So I don't think the move is necessarily to sell tickets, which was what the Beckham deal that was initially.
Yeah.
But this is definitely to get Toronto higher up in the stands.
Yeah, for sure. Well, their team, ever since they lost Dwayne DiRosario, from what I knew, they were not doing well. Funny enough, he's also been brought back by Toronto.
Yeah, so Toronto's team is actually looking pretty good, which might inspire other teams to start hiring other international players, make the MLS a bit more competitive, because if we have a few teams with like superstars on them and then other teams with like local talent, like for example the Impact, they have some players who take the bus and metro to go to their games, and then we have like Jermaine Defoe over in Toronto on the other side of the stadium. There might have to be a cost to put more money into the system, give us more players for most of the teams.
Well, it makes me wonder in a situation like that, like I say that the players are taking the bus and metro, I know with the way the MLS rules are, you can bring a couple of guys over from the Premier Leagues and stuff like that. Then you can pay an arm and a leg to get them. But I find at the same time, if you're going to bring in guys for so much, you should give them a bit of a pay raise so they don't have to take the bus or metro.
Distribution of wealth.
In a sense, yeah.
But the MLS, especially with the Montreal team, it's only been in the MLS for a couple of years now.
But the same goes for Vancouver and TFC. Yeah. It's not like this league has been. It's not NHL, MLB, or any soccer league.
The interest in MLS is slowly but surely starting to gain a bit more attention. People are going to games now.
In 10 years, I see a bigger movement. Again, maybe not Ronaldo type players, but
maybe something more akin to the CFL.
Well, I think
in terms of like popularity,
I think what will really happen is that the homegrown talent, or the better Americans and the better Canadians, will stay here, or they might just go over for a couple of years, make a buttload of money, but then just decide now I want to play. They'll never get to a par level. But what might also happen is some of the top South American players that play in the South American leagues, they might come up here if they don't want to completely go to Europe.
But the South American teams are really good.
No, I understand that, but some South American players might want to actually come up to North America.
It depends. Because the South American teams, they're playing for local clubs, gets attention to be playing for the international teams. So it all depends. If you're playing all the way up in Canada and you're on the bench half the time, it would not be in your interest. But that's a different story for a different time. What do you have next?
Well, I said earlier that there was a game that I played, and I'm a big.
Is that game Ratchet and Clank?
No. Yes.
Yes, it is.
I'm a big fan of the series, especially the PS3 games. One of my favorite games by far has to be Crack in Time. I love the aspect of flying through space. I loved the Agorian battle plagues. I loved this story. It was a long story.
Meanwhile, for me, I didn't have PS3, so I've only played the PS2 originals.
And that's where you fail.
Yeah,
but anyway,
the second one I can attest is awesome.
I played the one before Crack in Time, which I always forget the name, unfortunately. But basically what happens is that there's the newest one, which is supposed to be the ending of the story, which is supposed to be the closure. And this might be spoiler alert for those people. You might want to fast forward a little bit. Just
if you're playing the game,
if you're playing the game and you know what the story
is, and you want to know it, yeah.
But I felt that this game was too short. And when I say short, I mean it was like playing Force Unleashed 2. Ooh. I felt I beat it so fast. I played games.
Was it Force Unleashed 2 level of crappiness?
No, not at all. The game still has good graphics. It had hilarious weapons and fun weapons that you want to use. But I felt like they went backwards in the direction. As opposed to Crack in Time where you can get the gun and then you would upgrade the gun and you would add special mods to it. They went back to more of the original game style.
Like the original series? Or
no,
like tools?
Tools of destruction.
Right.
Where you bought like different guns and you had to do you would have to find raritanium to upgrade them.
Okay.
And in Crack in Time, you didn't have to do that. You got the upgrade, and then it upgraded through kills.
Okay, so it was more like a
and then you would unlock the
system.
Yeah, and I like that. Another complaint that I had was you don't fly through space. You have, I'm not, again, spoiler alert, but I think I went to 4 different planets, and that was it. And the game was pretty much over after that.
So instead of it being this nice big cosmos, it was very much linear stages.
Flat screen,
yeah.
4 round balls on your screen, a cartoon spaceship that you could move and spin in circles and stuff, but you weren't in space.
Right. Was that on like a 2D plane?
I call it a bit of both.
Right.
A bit of both, like the planets were 3D, but I didn't like that. And then the story was...
So it felt like you were going backwards in a sense.
With the way they develop, it feels like they made this game just for the sake of making it. That they've made so many versions of this game. Versions, not virgins. Like, to them, it's what's the point of continuing? And, for anyone who knows the story, he's been looking for his race. He's been looking for the Lombaxes forever, and they kind of disregard him looking for them at the end of this game.
So it's kind of like we've been waiting for this moment the whole time, and then
he's like forget it, And they have some quirky reminders of the past games that were fun to deal with, but in general, I would rather scrap this game and just stop at Crack in Time and wait in a couple of years. Because I feel like this game had no effort. Sure, they had great graphics. Sure, they had fun weapons. The story was good for what it was, but the story was about a couple minutes per planet. Mm-hmm. There was less of a story and less fun to it. And
would you like to see a continuation?
I'd like them to make one more at this rate to really to have the... Again, I don't want to ruin the end of the game for those who haven't played it, but for those who kind of know what I'm talking about, I would like Ratchet... Because, like I said, he disregards the family stuff. To get up and be like, let's go. Mm-hmm.
Let's do this. And then maybe with the capabilities of the PS4, we can have even more intense space travel.
Exactly. You can make, after playing games like Red Dead Redemption and stuff like that, you get more used to these long open world games that you want. And I think Ratchet and Clank could easily do that. They've made enough aliens that they could remake the races and stuff. And in the first game ever, the bad guy, they could bring his alien race on another moon. I know his issue was that.
So maybe, so I'm not sure if you played it, but it sounds like Ratchet and Clank maybe should take some inspirational cues from the Mass Effect series, where you have a gigantic galaxy map. And even though it's still you're moving your ship on a 2-dimensional plane, you can go to the planets, you can go to the moons, you can go to space stations. And before you know it, you have 40 locations, like planets to choose from.
I think a bit of Mass Effect and a bit of Crack in Time would make this game a billion times better, and I think then they could really close off the series that way. I mean, I always argue that I want a Jak and Daxter game to come out, but they actually ended it properly.
Yeah.
They can make another one. I'd like them to.
I would like that too. Jak and Daxter was fun.
I mean, these guys know what they're doing with Jak and Daxter and with Ratchet.
Well, Jak and Daxter was Naughty Dog, right?
Yeah. But Naughty Dog...
Everything Naughty Dog makes is amazing.
Yeah, but Insomniac has done a good job too. And that's why I'm kind of sitting here going, okay...
Why is the quality level so much lower?
So long story short, if you can get the game for cheap, it's worth getting. If you can get it for free or borrow it from a friend, it's even better. If not, maybe stay away. I would give it a 4 or 5 out of 10.
Oh, yeah?
And the 4 or 5 that you're getting is because the little bit of the story was well written, the graphics were pretty cool, the weapons were fun, but the length of time and the fact that they're going backwards instead of forwards in the world of gaming.
The distribution to the story.
The story, that takes away like 3-4 points right there. I'm biased when it comes to a good story, and that just blew it for me. Well, I'm sorry, Insomniac, you blew it.
Nope, don't do it. Fix it.
Make another one.
I'm a humongous Quentin Tarantino fan. Many of you know this already. And his last movie...
5 of you know this already.
All 5 of my friends know this.
No, I'm talking about all 5 of our listeners.
That's
6 friends know.
Quentin Tarantino, yeah, he's one of my big things. He had Django Unchained that came out, a year, 2 years ago. That was a Western that featured Jamie Foxx in the role of a slave turned bounty hunter under the mentorship of Christoph Waltz's German dentist bounty hunter, aka Awesome. And I guess the whole Western thing must have really worked for Tarantino, because now the title for his new movie has come out and it's also going to be a Western, but as opposed to the whole slavery angle that was the Django Unchained storyline, this one's going to be called The Hateful Eight. Now, if you're thinking The Hateful Eight, that sounds like it's a little familiar. Well, there's The Magnificent Seven, an old Western from the 50s, if I'm not mistaken. So obviously this is taking some inspirational cues from the old, maybe Sergio Leone, Clint Eastwood, spaghetti Western type of Westerns. Only this time it might have a bit more Tarantino-isms. But nonetheless, I think it's a really cool move. I hope that it's going to be a bit more, like you said before, like Red Dead Redemption, Tarantino styled. Because The Hateful Eight, that title alone already is awesome. Even though I can imagine heads will be blown off and blood will be spilt and racist comments will be spewed left and right, but what would a Tarantino movie be without that? It also says on Slash Film that Tarantino has wrote a part for his winning muse, that's how Slash Film puts it, Christoph Waltz. Christoph Waltz played...
He is so cool.
He was the... I love him, but I want to crucify him Nazi in Inglourious Basterds.
Oh my god, that role.
That role. Hell. You hated everything he did, but every time you were on screen, you were just like, I need to see more.
You wanted him back. Just because of how funny and how... I just remember watching... Sorry to cut you off there, but just watching Inglourious Basterds the first time, and just, at the build-up to, the good guys, and every time... He would, it turns out he speaks another language. It turns out he knows what they're actually doing in the end. He's able to pick them off. And he was such a great character. I still haven't seen Django Unchained.
You haven't seen Django
Unchained? No,
Unchained?
I want to actually see it just because, how interesting would that be?
Django Unchained?
No, how interesting would that be to see another good role in this movie coming out?
Published 3 weeks ago. We have another story actually we just found. The Avengers 2 might be introducing another villain. Potential story spoilers. This is coming from Screenwrite. Don Cheadle might be joining the Avengers as War Machine in the Age of Ultron. If you saw Iron Man 3, you would have known who that is. James Spader's already playing the villainous Ultron. He's a giant robot.
No, I know what Ultron is.
I'm letting the people know.
If people don't know what Ultron is, get out.
Go.
Leave your house. Take off your earbuds. Stop listening and just leave. No, I'm kidding.
It also says here that the insider reveals that Baron Wolfgang von Strucker, another Hydra villain from Captain America's World War II days, will pop up in the Avengers sequel.
That is so cool. And you know what that could lead to? By bringing in Von Strucker, that means that
it's more Hydra Skull action.
Well, that also means that we could be pulled back in a future Captain America movie, because we know this one now. Most of the Winter Soldier is going to be very current.
Yeah, this takes place in DC.
But with Strucker, to give the understanding to the people who don't get him, they could actually do a whole other movie going back into World War II.
So do like a spin-off, so to speak.
Not even so much a spin-off, just like I guess it would be a spin-off in the sense it's before Cap freezes, so it's during when they're.
So it's a prequel to Captain America. Well, it's sort of like it takes place.
It's
at the same time.
At the same time as they're hunting the Red Skull, Strucker could get in the way, because
or maybe it could be a movie about maybe bending the lines of the narrative a little bit, but follow Bucky after he falls off the train, and then get the Baron in from there.
You could do something like that.
Because obviously the Winter Soldier, spoiler, and everyone knows this already, Winter Soldier, Bucky.
Yeah. Sorry for those who don't read the comics.
Yeah. But there's like a 75-year gap between the two movies, so like the Winter Soldier's still young and good looking, so we can probably see like what happened. Well, I'm sure that will get explained in the Winter Soldier, but we can actually see what happens, and maybe the Baron is one of the reasons why that's there.
It's a very, very cool thing that they're bringing him in. I still want to know when they're going to bring back the Red Skull. For anyone, again, who hasn't read this comic, sorry for that kind of spoiler. But
I wouldn't hold your breath on a Red Skull reappearance, though.
I don't think he's dead.
I don't think he's dead, but I just don't think Hugo Weaving wants to do it.
They could always find another actor.
They could.
Look at what they've done to the Hulk.
Yeah.
The Red Skull will probably come back, because he can't not come back, because we know he's not dead.
He's a very pivotal character in the series.
Well, did Hugo Weaving say he would never do it again?
He says he was tired of giant blockbuster movies. Yeah, I know.
So why are you in Lord of the Rings?
Well, that was 10 years ago.
I mean now.
The Hobbit.
The Hobbit movie.
He was in the first one for like 5 minutes. But he's not doing Transformers anymore. Yeah, he was in Transformers, for those who didn't know.
Ooh, who's going to be Megatron now?
I don't know, anyone with all that voice distortion.
It could be me!
And me!
It's both of us just talking over each other.
With awesome robo voices. Also, the Marvel one-shots, they're going to have the Mandarin on the next one. Like the Ben Kingsley Mandarin.
That's cool.
Like the Ben Kingsley Mandarin, how to explain it? Like, it really annoyed me at the same time. But at the same time, it's a very interesting character that I would have liked to see more as. The guy Pierce Mandarin just really annoyed me. Like I got really upset when I saw that.
You didn't like it?
No.
You mean the part where he...
I am the Mandarin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was just terrible. But the Ben Kingsley Mandarin, I would like to see that. You know what I'd like to see? A Peggy Carter TV show.
Yes, me too.
Yes.
As I shift my eyes back and forth.
Captain America, Peggy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, actually, for those who don't check IMDb constantly, or DB. DB?
IMDb.
DB. For those who don't check constantly, if you look at the cast list, there will be Captain America's old love interest.
Peggy,
exactly, because apparently she has been signed to be in that movie. It might be flashbacks. Who knows what will happen. Maybe he'll find her older self. I know as the years go on, it's less easier to meet those old World War II people we met, because we're in 2013, etc.
2014.
14.
Come on, man. Get with it.
No, I'm still in the 13, okay? But no, I find that as years go by, unfortunately our veterans are dying off slowly, so,
Interesting theme that could be tackled.
Yeah, exactly. But the greatest thing about comics is that they could just stay stuck in one timeline forever.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't matter.
Also, what did you think about the Paul Rudd announcement playing Ant-Man?
I don't know, because Ant-Man, I don't like Ant-Man or any of the Ant-Men that are going on. Hank Pym drives me up the wall.
But apparently Paul Rudd's not even playing Hank Pym.
Oh, I know. I'm
Just
just.
be playing with Scott Lang.
I think so.
Yeah. Because Edgar Wright put a tweet on his Twitter account. Edgar Wright's the director. He did Hot Fuzz and The World's End, Scott Pilgrim. He put a tweet, and there was a picture of Ant-Man, but it was from Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon, and it was not the Hank Pym suit. So Scott Lang, because we already know that Ant-Man is not making Ultron. So him not being Hank...
That's just so wrong right there.
Him not being Hank Pym sort of re-clarifies that, like Hank Pym is not involved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know, but I'm picturing Avengers 3, we have Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth and Scarlett Johansson and Mark Ruffalo and Paul Rudd.
I mean, look, I'm not one to judge. When we judged earlier on when Disney bought Marvel, we were so afraid, and I mean, I don't really hate any of the Marvel movies that have come out.
No.
Not a big fan of the S.H.I.E.L.D. show.
No.
But I still watch it here and there.
I gave up on it.
I got disturbed by one of the recent episodes, so I might not be watching that. But I don't want to say that by hiring Paul Rudd it sucks, because we did.
No, it doesn't suck at all.
We did the same thing with Mark Ruffalo.
We did the same thing with a bunch of movies. We did the same thing with Heath Ledger was Joker.
Chris Evans, the fact that he was
Human Torch.
Yeah, he was the Human Torch.
So, like, I'm not saying it's a bad casting call, but I just have a difficult time imagining it. But we shall see. But right now, we're going to go into the last subject of the day, because we're already at 35 minutes. And this is...
why the Grammys suck.
Grammys.
Oh my God. Can I just start off first saying...
that the Grammys suck.
Well, they suck, but it's also a farce. Okay? And I know you can argue this about any other award show, but the fact...
the Grammys.
But you're giving an award to another rich person who made more money, so congratulations on getting this stump.
Yeah.
Because you made a lot of money. Congratulations on... the awards are getting so...
There's a lot of there's so many awards that are created. There's so many awards that are created just to give more people the same awards. Like there's best record and best album, and there's best production, and then like all of a sudden we have like subcategories within a category.
And then it expands to best singer, best singer, best rapper with a big ass.
With this best rapper in an R&B performance, that's a category now.
Like it's such a joke.
So
to
basically,
quote Lindy Ruff, it's a joke.
Yeah. Plus, I remember back in the day, like 10 years ago, when the Grammys would actually show these awards, and then there'd be like a couple of concerts that you would look forward to. And now it's the other way around. We barely see the actual awards, and it's all the music. And the only awards we see are the pop awards, which the ones who've sold the most.
And which is mostly the jackasses that you hear on the radio. And I'm sorry for swearing a little bit, but it's really annoying. And
it's the Justin Biebers, the Katy Perrys, the Taylor Swift.
Katy Perry's hot. I'll watch Katy Perry. But
but it's those. It's
no way.
The Nicki Minaj's. It's those characters.
She already won award, the best Grammy for best fake butt.
Yeah.
But speaking of butts, but another question is: do you have to do a show before the Christmas season telling us who has been nominated? Does LL Cool J, who apparently came out of the 90s, they've taken LL Cool J from the 90s and just throw him back in it. He's acting now. He's not even singing.
I don't remember the last time he rapped.
Like, what significance does this guy have for music right now when he's not even doing it? Yeah. And why host a show telling us who's been nominated? Who gives a crap?
Yeah, the internet tells us who's nominated these days.
There's so many crappy award shows related to music too, like the MTV Music Awards, the MTV Music Video Awards, the Much Music
Teen Choice Awards,
like on and on, and it's the same frigging people that in general masses don't give a rat ass.
Well, it is the masses though, because that's why they're so popular.
It's usually only one mass.
Yeah,
though.
It's
a specific age group from a specific country.
Yeah, it's a target market.
A target market that glorifies their celebrities. It's like the people glorifying R. Kelly right now in Lady Gaga's song. Yeah. Remember, he did pee on a kid, right? Like the golden shower.
Boondocks.
And I heard one thing where someone said, "Well, that kid is an adult now."
Yeah, so now, but not was it 10 years ago?
Why does it matter now? He's an adult, so who cares? when I heard that, I think I almost blew up.
Yeah.
I think I had like an inner piece of TNT
Rage
go off.
Health mode engaged.
I don't know why that they continue. I mean, I'm using the term farce. It's a the Grammys. It's a farce.
It's a joke.
Like, what's the point? The last time I think I ever watched the Grammys was when Kanye West did Stronger, and I only watched that because Daft Punk was in the background playing.
That must have been, 2007, 2008?
Yeah, it's been a while. And
the only thing tonight that looks interesting, then that's my personal interest, is that Metallica is going to be performing.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. But they're going to be doing it with, I guess, S&M style. S&M's Metallica's classical symphony / metal.
That's
but
amazing.
It's going to be, I believe it's a classical pianist.
Okay.
Along with Metallica. He's a Grammy nominee in one of the sections, and they're going to be playing together. The one thing in the Grammy usually does good is the collabos.
Even then, you know what? There's a reason why YouTube exists now.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can watch anything else but the
last year they did a Beach Boys tribute, and they had the Foster the People along with a couple of others, and that was the coolest bit of the show, and everything else was just terrible.
Yeah,
I've always give the Grammys props. That's the one thing that they do well in the production value.
If you're offering me one good thing out of 3 hours of crap
and lots of commercials,
again, YouTube.
Yeah,
it even goes down to this pop effect that you can claim ruined the Grammys from people who are real artists. It's branching out to other parts too. I mean, look at the Super Bowl halftime show this year. It's freaking Bruno Mars.
Bruno Mars is a good performer, though.
I don't care, though. I would love to find a poll of NFL fans and find out what main music they like.
Oh, would it be Bruno Mars?
And I guarantee you, the type of music, the pop, it's a rock-based fan base, it's a country, it's even a rap-based fan base.
They wouldn't get the rap, though, but
I can see the rock, the heavy, the metal. Look at Raiders fans; they are metal.
Well, I can see for our Super Bowl time, halftime show, it'd be more like a Tim McGraw sort of thing, or those other country singers that I can't remember their name because I'm not a humongous country fan, or it'd be, I hate to say it, but a Nickelback sort of band.
But at the same time, when you go back to that as well, remember when Janet Jackson flashed the world, etc., etc. Who came out the next year? Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
Who came out after? The Who. Who came out after? Prince. Weird, but he did a good show.
Then after Prince,
then they also had Tom Petty.
And then after that, we did
Black Eyed Peas, Madonna, Beyonce,
Gaga, I think.
No, Gaga.
There was Gaga.
No,
Destiny's Child.
No, well, Beyonce was. No. All we've gotten was the Madonna, the Black Eyed Peas, Beyonce, and now it's Bruno Mars. That's 4 years of crap. At least go back.
4 years of pop. We need to
go back.
We're gonna do pop, cool, but maybe do it on a rotation, 1 year this, 1 year that, 1 year this, 1 year that. Because 4 years of pop, NFL being this contact sports medium, it's one of the biggest sporting events in the world. I get that the pop is meant to attract the world stage.
But you know what? This is also supposed to thank the fans.
Yeah, this is an American sport for a particular target audience. And
most Americans.
Yeah. Beer drinking, contact sport, the two just don't really go. That's in my opinion.
No,
maybe I'm completely wrong.
But I agree. The way I see it, the halftime show is supposed to be a thank you to the fans who have watched football for 17 weeks.
If I was at the Super Bowl and I had to watch Beyonce, I'd go to the bathroom for 15 minutes. And buy food, and I'd make it a point to not be at the halftime show.
I know, and I agree. And Madonna's was interesting, but it still wasn't what I like. It was.
I think I could sit through Madonna, maybe
more than Beyonce and Black Eyed Peas.
Definitely.
You'd think the Super Bowl would have learned from the CFL Grey Cup halftime show, and the Black Eyed Peas sucked then too.
Yeah.
And it's not a knock on the music in general, but it's just cater to the real fans for once in your life. You do the commercials anyway for the whole world.
Pretty much.
So say thank you to your actual fans. So getting off the Super Bowl tangent and going back to the Grammys, they suck.
They suck.
You can't pay me to watch it.
You can pay me to watch it, but you have to be a high-ass number.
Yeah, and then include sponsorship to the podcast.
Exactly.
And a way to interview Matthew.
Exactly. And real microphones.
So with that being said and done, just remember everyone, the Grammys.
They suck.
So we're going to leave off with that. Once again, we want to thank you for listening, and we want to remind you, just like we did at the beginning, if you want to write for us, if you want to do a guest spot, if you want to help build our site, promote, produce, teach us how to interview with better equipment, use your studio. We will promote you if you promote us. Mm-hmm. Also remember to follow us on Twitter for me and Vincelli, Sean Gallagher 07, @4ES Podcast. Even though Matt's not here, give him a follow too at MattyBray86. Like us on Facebook, and remember to check out our website, 4espodcast.wordpress.com. And with that being all said and done, we hope you have a great day, night, evening, wherever you are. We try not to keep it dated.
No. Even though today is Sunday the 12th of January,
Shut
2014.
So with that being ruined and said and done and now being dated, that's episode 4. We'll hopefully get that interview up soon. Hope you have a great day. Again, I'm Nick.
I'm Sean. The Grammys suck. Goodbye.
See ya.